Hi boys and girls, how's it all going? Some of you have been asking why I haven't done any hair vids or if I'm still alive. Yep, I'm still alive. The reason I've not done any hair vids for a while is because I've been really busy. I've been travelling and filming in Abu Dhabi, Belgrade, Serbia and Poland. So my hair, since my second op with Dr. Cinik in Istanbul, Turkey, was 6 months ago. The second op was in March, so it's now September. So it's just coming up to 6 months. So if you remember, I had the crown done and the front was topped up a bit. And I have to say I'm really pleased with it. Just recently, you might remember the last time I said there was a lot of spiky hairs at the back in the crown, just little spiky hairs coming through. They've all grown really well. So I'm very pleased with those, the way they've gone. I'm not sure if it's the sun that helps a little bit, because you know when you go on holiday somewhere hot and your fingernails grow really quickly, it seems to have really helped my hair a bit, getting a little bit of sun. But the hair's going really well, so I've not touched it on top, like my clinic said, don't cut it for the first 6 months, so I've not. About 2 weeks ago I shaved the sides and the back. It was grade 1, but it's a short grade 1, so it's more like 0.5. Let's just have a quick look over the top and see how it's gone. So I'm pleased with the hairline, and I'm not sure how much you can see of that, but there's quite a distinct line between the hairline and the hair on top. Sorry, the hair on the sides and the hair on the top, because I shave it quite short and it's just like a line from long to short. It's no fade or anything, so yep. That's how it is, but I'm really pleased with it. The crown has really started taking off, and it's still only 6 months, so there's still hopefully more growing time. But yeah, people ask about scarring on the sides and back, or is it over harvesting? No, I can't notice any scarring or over harvesting. I'm pleased with it the way it is. People say, can you cut it short on the sides and back? So yeah, I've done it really short again on the sides and back. No scarring. No, it's all fine, all good, so I'm really pleased. I was always in two minds about whether to go for the second op or not. Mega pleased I did now, because it's looking really full on top, which is what I've always wanted really, so brilliant. I get a lot of questions all the time, and I've had some people say to me, can you explain in layman's terms, sort of simplified terms, about hair transplant? So I thought, how can I do this? So I've been thinking about it, and to try and make it as simplified as possible, if you think about two crop fields, so you've got the first one, which will be your donor area, the second one will be the hair on top. So think of each field like that, and think of it as, say, growing cabbages or lettuces or whatever. So in your first field, you've got your donor, so your field's pretty full with your cabbages or whatever you're growing. So if you looked, say, down from a drone or whatever, it would look pretty full. Your second field is your hair on top. So say it might have started balding at the front or in the crown area or both. So your field will look a bit bare if you looked down on it, and some of them were a bit dying, or you know. So what a hair transplant is basically transplanting hair from one side, your donor area, the sides, back. Can also take from under the beard and the chest hair, but that's more for certain situations, and I won't go into too much detail because I've done it before. About that can go in the crown, it can't go in just on its own, it has to be used with other hair, because otherwise it would look a bit weird just having beard hair in one area. So it has to be mixed in, so I won't go into that today. But think of these two fields anyway. So you've got your donor field and your recipient field. Recipient is the top where the hair is being taken out and put in. So the donor, it gets taken from the donor and put into the recipient area. So the recipient is your second field. So basically, if you took a load of your cabbages from your first field all in one area and took them out and put them into your second field, then you would have a bald patch in your first field, or there'd be a bald spot where you see the ground where you've taken all your cabbages out. That would be what we would call over harvesting. So you'd have like gaps, big sort of bald spots. And that's another thing I get asked a lot. Does it regrow? No, it doesn't, because you're actually taking the grafts out and planting them somewhere else. So if you took your cabbage out of the ground, planted it into another field, you've taken all the seeds, there's nothing left over, and your cabbage has been moved from one field to another. So in the first field it's not going to regrow, there'll be a little hole there. So that's what happens with your hair. They take it from sort of the top round and then round the back and the sort of sides at the top. But they have to do this in a way so that if you look at it, your first field doesn't look bald. So we don't want to take them all from one area. So what we do is like take one, leave one, take one, leave one, take one, leave one. So they kind of do that. That's very simplistic the way I've described it. It's a lot different to that. But that is basically what they do. They take it in such a way so that you can't see where they've taken it from. So it still looks like you've got hair there. So if you're looking down at your cabbage field, yes, it might look a bit sort of thinner, but you would still notice that there's cabbages covering the field, which is what you want. You don't want a big bald spot on your first field, because you'd have, that would be over harvesting. So on your sides and your back, you don't want to over harvest. They want to take them every sort of now and again so that you can't see when you look at it that hair has been taken, hair grafts. So your second field, if you think you've only got a certain amount of cabbages in your first field, your second field, you're never going to have as much to fill probably the second field. So what they have to do is slightly space it out so that you get a nice sort of field. So the ideal thing would be to have two full fields. So looking down from a drone or from a plane or whatever, your fields would both look pretty full. That's what you want. And so with your fields, when you've taken them out, and again they have to get them planted back in so they don't die. Same with the hair grafts. If you took too many in one go and you didn't get them planted back in time, then they can die. So and to make it more complicated, some cabbages, so think of it as leaves. With a hair graft you can have like 1, 2, 3, 4 hairs from the same graft. With cabbage, just think, say you've only got 1 leaf cabbage, 2 leaf cabbage, 3 leaf cabbage, or 4. So certain ones you want at one part of the field. So you want your singles at the front, so it kind of looks thinner and more natural single hairs. You don't want big sort of doubles or triples, because it kind of looks pluggy then. So that's how I describe it in very simple terms. I don't know if that makes sense, but so you're basically moving from one field to another, but you basically want to make them both look as full as possible. Like I've said before, you're probably never going to get hair like when you were a kid, because you had more hair then anyway. Even if you've got like the best genes under the sun, you might have a lot of hair, but you're probably still not going to have as much as when you were a kid. A lot of people say they lose hairs, but the average person loses hairs every day. You probably just don't even notice it. They might be on your t-shirt or when you have a shower. You probably just don't notice it, a lot of people. But it's when you start getting excessive hair fall that you have to, be concerned. And either if you notice it when you're younger, you can start to take like finasteride and things like that. I'm hoping, because I've never taken finasteride, that I've got to the age now. I'm 47 and a half, so hopefully I've got to the point where I stopped losing hair naturally. So it's hopefully I'm not going to lose any more. So the transplanted hair, which was the front round there from my first stop, and a little bit from the second, and sort of the crown and the sort of top from my second op, then hopefully I'm going to keep that hair. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It feels fine. Still feel the beard grafts where they're mixed in with normal hair, but overall it's fine. It's no different from my original hair, because it is all my hair basically. But I've got no fibres in at the moment, no powder, nothing different. It's basically my natural hair. I'm sat in quite a bright window I'm sat in front of now to give you a good view. Probably a bit greasy because I haven't washed it for a couple of days now. Yeah, suddenly just started sprouting really well, especially on the crown, which is the bit that seems to take the longest. My first stop, they put a few in the crown, and it was sort of quite a few months, like 6 months plus, before that started growing. So I'm really pleased that it is starting to catch up now. When I first had it done for the second dot, there's a slight sort of bald bit at the back. That wasn't shedding, because that's another thing you can shed. I think it was just a bit of shot loss. So with your cabbages, if you plant them in next to another one, and sometimes you get a slight bit of shock loss, so you sort of lose a bit of hair, but then it grows back. But I had like a little bit of a bald spot at the back, and I was thinking, is that a little bit of over harvesting where they've taken too many grafts? But it's all grown back now, so I think it was probably just a bit of shock loss. As far as shedding goes, I've been really lucky both ops. I don't seem to shed hardly at all. I did see a few little hairs in the sink after the second op, but really not that many. So I've been quite lucky. A lot of people who have hair transplants go through what we call the ugly duckling stage, where it all gets patchy, so the hair that's been put in falls out, and then they're waiting for it to regrow then. So it looks a bit patchy, but like I said, I've been so lucky in the fact that I don't seem to shed that often. But yeah, so in layman terms, think of your two fields, taking it from one, putting it into the other to top the other one up, hopefully making the first one so that you can't tell that it's been taken too much by spacing it, and the second one hopefully making it look as full as possible. Just bear in mind that if your second field, the recipient top, is completely bald, then obviously if you took all your donor hair out, it still might not be enough to fill that. Plus you'd be bald on the sides and back then, so you don't want that. So just keep your expectations in order. If you are completely bald or a high Norwood, you know you're not going to get everything. So you might then just want to go for a nice new hairline to sort of focus your face. And also, if they put enough over the top, even if it's not really dense, you can then use fibres if you've got enough hair for the fibres to stick onto. So you can then make it look fuller. So you've got to ask yourself, if you're really bald, keep your expectations, and do you want the op, or are you happy being bald? Some people are happy just shaving all their hair off. The way I look at it is, even if I was really bald, I'd still probably go for the hair op, the transplant, just so that I could have a nice hairline or whatever. Then at least you've got that choice then to shave it all off again if you want, like I could shave it. If your hair is not too bald and you get a good result and you're happy, then my advice would be don't shave it too short on top, because you can see where it's been transplanted, it's not quite as dense as your existing hair. Like I've got some bits on the sides there which were my existing hair, and they're always going to be slightly thicker and more dense than the rest of the hair. But overall I'm really pleased. It's kind of come along really well. I can just sort of brush it however I want really. People say, do you have to have it in one angle? So when they put them in, if you're thinking about the cabbages again, they try and put them in at the same angle as your natural sort of hair. And it doesn't mean you have to keep it like that forever. Some guys, you know, they have short hair, then they grow it really long. I grew mine pretty long and sort of had it in like, tied up at the back, and that was tied back. So just because it's forward at the moment doesn't mean it has to always be like that. You can train it to grow back using products like wax and gel and that sort of thing. Another thing I always say, don't go for the wet look if you've had a hair transplant. With gel and stuff like that, if it's wet it looks thinner. Go for a dry, like a wax, a matte wax that doesn't shine. I'll put a link below to all the things that I use when I use wax and stuff like that, just for styling and that kind of. Am I taking pills? Taking the biotin, saw palmetto, cod liver oils, omega oils, and also multivitamins. Do I have to? No, I don't. Do they do any good? Who knows? I've always taken multivitamins. I take cod liver oil, the omegas. You know, it's supposed to help your heart and your joints and stuff like that. So biotin and saw palmetto. Some people say if you've got enough in your natural diet, then don't worry about it. I just have always taken them since my first stop, so I just carried on because they're pretty cheap. But apart from that, it's all looking good. Like I said, I've been filming Abu Dhabi and places like that, staying in some nice hotels. Also do quite a few travel vids, so if you're interested in that, check out my channel, subscribe to it, give the vids a thumbs up if you don't mind. So yeah, if you've got any questions, leave them below. I do try and answer everything, but I am just so busy all the time, working my full-time job from really early in the morning, and then in the afternoons I do other jobs. So I do try and get back to everyone, so if I don't get back straight away, just, you know, hang in there and I'll try and get back as soon as I get time. People contact me on Instagram, check out my Instagram page, I'm always putting loads of pictures on there, and Twitter, and the Facebook Messenger. If you have not joined our hair group on Facebook, check it out, it's a really good hair group. I'll leave a link to it below. It's really friendly, it's grown so massive now, it's compared to what we ever expected. It's a really friendly group, and there's a lot of really knowledgeable guys and girls on there. We don't just talk about hair, we talk about dental. I had my implant, the first part of it, screwed up in there, so it's in the gum at the moment. Just waiting till next month and I should then be getting the tooth put in. So that's all interesting, I can't wait to get that done. But yeah, we talk about teeth, health, jokes, just, you know, day-to-day things. So if you want to join that, feel free. Invite all your friends as well. But yeah, it's now Friday the 9th of September. So hopefully I'll do another video a bit sooner this time because I've just been so busy. Anyway, take care. Good luck with your hair.